Hello and welcome to India Today's roundtable on education, and this is going to be a specific topic called as Bridging the Talent Gap, Industry Academia Collaboration, sponsored by Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology and SSVM Institute. And we have like eminent panelists with us. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We have Dr. S.N. Sridhara. We also have Dr. B. Bharati, Dean Academics, Satyabama Institute of Technology. Thank you so much, and it is a pleasure to have you all here, considering your expertise, knowledge, and it will be very much useful for the students. So if I have to directly go into the topic, this is in specific to, let me be very clear that we are trying to help the students to find out. So what is going to be the kind of like gap, what is present between academia and industry in particular. So how have we progressed? Let us have a kind of a discussion between 10 years gap. What is the kind of like requirement the industries had 10 years ago, and what is the present gap? Has it widened, or the specifics, has it changed? Dr. Sridhar, I would like to put that question to you, because just like she mentioned, technology is in supersonic mode. Is academia able to keep up with it, or what has become the kind of need for the industries? What are they exactly looking for?
See, basically this question of, especially in India, the institutions are slightly lagging behind the technological advancements what the industries are showing. It's always there. But the advantage what we have in the recent days is basically that we are actually having more and more deemed to be universities and private universities, as well as standalone universities are coming up. The major advantage is the curriculum design is at a faster rate. So every time, actually, even just before one batch passes out, most of these universities which have got the freedom to change immediately, they look at the industrial growth and the changes happening there, and they fine tune it. The second thing is like our Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science, most of the universities will have the board of studies wherein actually the resource persons from the industries do come, and their presence is always felt. That is one thing. And second thing, as Madam was mentioning, we always keep track with most of these companies through our placement center also. And as well, actually, we look at the other international universities where the topics are there. See, for example, my student would like to take up a higher studies somewhere for his interest in a very renowned international university. We try to look at the gap between that particular university and our university, and then we fine tune it. If the fine tuning is not done then and then, definitely there is going to be a gap. That is number one. Number two, most of the time what happens as the new technology comes in, especially in the core branches, the machineries and technology is the one which is usually not present in on the campus. So now basically we are looking at how do we bring in the industries onto the campus with their machines and their center of excellences, so the students get immediately attached to it. Probably I will add up later when it comes to how do we actually take it further with the industry so that it could be a seamless one also.
Definitely. Sridhara, does the industrial sector help with the academics in that? Are they ready to collaborate and set up labs and specific things? Because they need certain specific skills, which means they might have the machines and the students might need a kind of access to that. Are they doing it?
Yeah, there is a much challenge actually even today also, but with the actually what competence the institutions have, based on this we can attract. See, for example, our automotive engineering in our campus is too good. Similarly, our aeronautical aerospace, we are in the field from 1966 onwards. Our founder, Dr. K.C.G. Varghese, actually started the very first aircraft maintenance training center. With that, actually, we have advanced. Based on that, actually, at present, recently, we added the Royal Enfield onto our campus. This Royal Enfield actually brings in nearly about 100 to 200 bikes onto the campus. We have provided them the office space and also the workshop space. So it's a national training center. The biggest national training center is our place. Advantage is now, how did we attract that, first of all? Because we are too good in automotive engineering and automotive the motoring, racing, etc. and so on. So we started participating in many competitions, and that attracted this Royal Enfield to approach us. Once they came to us, actually we had a discussion with them for a long time, what we can do, how do we establish, and it should be a win-win situation. So they wanted actually to establish a national training center. We wanted our students to get exposed to this immediately, so that even before they get out of the campus, actually they'll be having a very good knowledge of it. So these two work together. Similarly, in the aero industry or something like that, we trained nearly 800 engineers from HAL on aircraft maintenance. That was a Government of India project on TIFA core. So this happens only when the institutions show the eminence. That is one part of it. The second part, actually, how do we keep our relationship with the industries also matters. See, the industries actually also will be looking for an input where the gestation period or the training period for these people who come in should be reduced. Now, industries can't wait to train them for more than 1 year or something like that. Immediately, they should become more productive. So, what we try to do is actually when we approach industries, we'll say, you please tell us what is your the characteristic of the students who should get into you, and based on that, we actually train them in the last 6 months or at least 1 year and all. See, there is one more thing actually. Most of the industries say that, or the public people would say, many students are unemployable. Actually, there is a tagline which actually our founder said, to make every man a success, no man a failure. It means that every person has a talent. We need to actually fine tune that talent to suit to that. So what I suggest the industries all the time is, you please give your requirement to us. We will fine tune on the other part. But it doesn't mean that I did not teach anything on the basic. Basically, the product keeps changing on the higher up. If the basics are strong with the students, they can adapt to any of these advancements in the technology, whether it is a programming or whatever it is. If they know the basic programming skills, they can adopt within 1 month or 2 months. If they know basic thermodynamics, heat transfer or something, they can actually fine tune any machines. So that is the way it goes. And there is one more thing which I actually keep telling the industry resource persons to us is, they have a lot of the money kept for research. Part of that research should flow into the institutes. Then we will center, like what Madam said, we will also establish the center of excellences, wherein that money comes here and
research and development money.
Exactly. And out of that money, we have the professors who can work day and night on it and then come out of it. And these professors are teaching the technology and the knowledge to the highest level. So they are ready to take up all these challenges and they give the solution. And the IP and other issues can be worked out together, so it goes to the industry. I think many of the international universities, and here also a few universities, especially IIT, IISc, have these types of on-campus center of excellences. We are also having 1 or 2 with them. That works very well. So the consultancy part, actually, for them the cost comes down. For us, we get an exposure to the current problems, industry problems, and there are double advantage in that. It's not that only professor will work on it. He takes his students along with them. When the students are taken along with them, these are the young people who gets into the industry later. So they are already worked on it. So the gestation period for the industries come very less.
This is a first-hand view also. So what is happening on that field? I have one follow-up question, because since you mentioned about automobile industry, the thing is that advancing through the knowledge is one thing, but when there is an entire paradigm shift, what will happen? Because your automobile industry, in 2 years there has been a paradigm shift from combustion engine to electric engine. How does this actually affect the student? Are the academics ready to handle such a challenge?
See, basically, most of the universities, including mine, are very alert on the change in technology which is happening. For example, in our institute, actually, we developed an electric vehicle nearly about 10 years back. So that is already into it. And we developed to such a level that we give a corporate training to the other industries who want some technology-oriented, suggestions, etc. and so on. So though actually the electrical vehicles are coming into the Indian market now, actually they were there from the past 30 years or 40 years elsewhere, as well as in India also. So what we do is we identify immediately and come through. Recently what we did is actually we developed one more lab only to develop our e-vehicles, which is more efficient and which should actually go for longer run. That is more important. Nowadays what is happening, the battery weights are very high. Because of that, the range with which it can travel within the charging is very less. That has to be increased, is a challenge. Almost every industry is looking for it. Number one. Number two, how do we actually reduce the weight of the battery? Number three, I think you asked a very good question. There are some accidents of electric vehicle wherein the fire broke, and it is understood that the batteries which are actually working on it are getting heated up and somewhere it is coming through. Now the research should happen in the institutes or universities, and we give a solution how it can be identified through some circuits or something, and immediately what type of cooling should go, what should be the type of the rate of charging of these batteries, etc. So the question coming back to you, most of our universities actually sense what is happening outside and they try to implement it. How did we start that immediately? First, we took a small project, a student project, and once the student project is given, we will assign 2-3 guides for them, the teachers who are well known in it, and interdisciplinary. See, basically electrical vehicle is a interdisciplinary topic, and therefore I need the teachers from computer science, I need the teacher from electronics, I need the teacher from mechanical engineering, and also electrical engineering. So all this put together, we make one batch. These batch of teachers actually work themselves together, how to actually do, etc., and then they guide the set of students. It's not only one batch, multiple students will be doing it. And after they come out with a successful model, a part of that goes into our elective subject to start with, and finally it becomes a branch of engineering. So recently actually we started giving training, and also the honors we are giving. What is that honors degree is, along with BE electrical engineering or BE mechanical engineering, automobile engineering, we give about 4 or 5 subjects as an addition to what normal credit they should take. These are highly specialized, and also they go in a sequence. In the very first year, we may tell them about the basics of electric vehicles, configuration of electric vehicles, etc. One subject. After they pass, they come to the next year. Next year, we will say the practical aspects of it. Third year, we will have one more, which is advanced version of it with AI. How do you control it, etc. In the final version, actually, we will be actually making it as an IoT, Internet of Things, also adopted into it, and that is how the students will learn from this end to that end. So like that, we also have the satellite technology implemented already. I think I'll talk about the satellite technology a little later. What
Constellations, right?
Yeah.
On to this.
See, basically there are two things in that. ChatGPT at present, which you mentioned, is a form of AI, wherein they get comprehension answers. Comprehension answers is not everything in engineering. It's only a part of it. So even if they use it, as he said, actually also Madam said, it's welcome, they can actually look at it. But I would suggest as a teacher, basically as a teacher, there are so many other websites. See, for example, if I want to search for engineering journals, I would say you please look at Research Scholar, or Engineering Village, or RefCep, and similarly PebMud. These are actually the search engines. These search engines will search very beautiful or nice, highly articulated papers. So those paper abstracts will also be available. Later, if the students are interested to go a little more in deeper, they can do that. This is on part of high tech education. I'm sorry, high technology or something. But if the student wants to know how do I assemble a car, those things may not be available in this, and that you will not get it in the ChatGPT also.
You have to get into the mechanic shop and make your hand dirty.
And there are actually a few websites which, on basis of the payment, you can actually get in. And there are some tutor, the YouTubes and other things. What we have done in our institution, of course, almost every institution would have done, we have our own learning management system called LMS. And we have the repository of these types of YouTubes and notes, everything is there. So now it's an explosion of the information. It is too difficult for the students to choose where to learn, etc. and all, with the the type of information explosion which we are getting. So when we have the LMS with a proper labeling of that and such key search, etc., it is possible for them to go directly into it. Nowadays, actually, you can also find the students need not depend only on the university. There are so many other international universities, outside universities, open notes are available and open exercises are available. See, today you asked me about electric vehicle, this thing. About 15 years back, in my class, actually, I gave a work for the students assignment. You please design virtually an electric vehicle which will go up the hill for so and so slope, and it will have so much of this thing, etc. So there is a procedure which people were trying. They were using a software called MATLAB to build that. And then these students actually, even at that time I'm telling you, the MATLAB modules are already available. They searched in the internet which module will give you the engine performance or the motor performance or the battery performance. They clubbed it together and they created a beautiful curves for this. Output was too good, and that is what they presented, and they got also the best paper award in one of the SAE conference. So this is how actually the student will go through. ChatGPT alone need not be cursed all the time. As Madam said, one humor thing. Recently, I received one of the student actually wrote a leave letter. It was so vocabulary decorated. I thought is another Shashi Tharoor.
Wow. Okay.
So much of vocabulary. So we know that this fellow actually copied from there. He just had a small accident, probably small wound, and that was actually written in such a exaggerated with empathy, sympathy, and all that. So it's a little fun of it also.
Oh, ma'am. Dr. Sridhara, the thing is that about artificial intelligence, we have had a good discussion. But just like you mentioned earlier, there was one period which was like a complete dark hour for everybody, nearly 2 years because of COVID. So we had this education entirely through virtual mode. And there has been discussion since then that why not keep it in virtual mode itself? Why should we keep it physical and all? Why should not be a virtual mode, and why should it be physical?
See, basically, the social scientists have found one major difference. The major difference is if it is one-to-one class, there is a flow of empathy and a flow of belongingness among the students across the thing. For a few things, of course, the virtual classes do help a lot. See, for example, we have an online courses approved by UGC DEB called Code. We have a center, and the degrees which is offered by that has classes which we run on Saturday, Sunday for the working people who cannot come to the institution, etc. So almost all the interactions do happen in that. There's also limitation. Many of the practical subjects, you cannot teach completely virtually unless we have a proper model. Of course, there are AR, VR models are coming. Virtual reality, augmented reality modules are coming. If the students are in a particular laboratory with AR, VR thing, then I think, see, for example, I can actually explain them how manufacturing is happening in it, and they can feel it. They can feel, including the physical quantifying also. So that is possible. That is at the high level. And this, because of this, differences, actually people are going for a sort of hybrid module. Hybrid module is a few of them are running virtual mode, and on the same time, a few will be, attending directly in the class, physical classes. See, for example, suppose I want to run the second shift because the students are more for a particular one, I can make it as a hybrid module. So this hybrid module, a few students will be sitting in my class, a few students who cannot come to my class will be sitting outside and then be learning. Most of the international universities, they have made it that, you don't have to attend the classes at all. It is left to you whether you attend by online or whatever it is. All the classes are actually displayed online, through virtual mode. And second part is actually only when the laboratory is required where they have to go there physically and use the practical systems, only it is coming through. And first question which you asked for the other two panel members, I would like to take it up because I am more interested to speak about. See, whenever there is a technology outbreak, for example, in 1970s, I was, in the 10th standard or so. At that time, the computers were being introduced into India, and most of these banking sector and insurance sector people, and especially the labor, the unions, they were dead against bringing in computers into it, because they were thinking that if I bring the computers into the bank, most of our people will lose a job because it's completely manual at present. Big ledgers are there. Even if I go to get my money, I know I'll have to give a check, and there are about 3 people, 4 people sitting. They'll open the ledger, they'll enter, somebody will pass, and that will go to the manager. Manager will come back. How much money is given to the cashier? Cashier will have another ledger. They'll come back. If a computer is there, you can pass it sitting, and then it can finish it off. But actually, what happened, I'll tell you. The fear has completely gone the other way. The introduction of the computer into the system has opened up so many other jobs. Lot of job profiles have come. And even today, actually, if you go to the corporation or something, you will see that the people who are just past 10th or 11th with the computer knowledge are taken as, the computer assistants who do very fast work and etc. Similarly, when AI is introduced here, everybody is afraid, okay, we don't need any programmer because AI will do all the programming. But specifying to that particular knowledge comes only with a human interface. And one challenge actually which you asked for the faculty with the new system, only one thing is actually I should always advise all my fellow colleagues as whenever there's a new technology comes, you should not sit back. In fact, you should foresee it. Before it actually hits your institution, your campus, you should at least be aware of what is it and then start preparing, number one. When we say that AI is to be introduced in mechanical engineering, etc., I cannot expect the teachers from computer science will come and teach the students in mechanical. A mechanical teacher who knows a complete mechanical engineering should learn AI and then adapt that into teaching. That is the way it can be taken further. So the teachers must keep their mind open always and keep learning. Just like in any other software company, the software keeps changing, every 6 months or so, and they can't sit idle. And if they are actually sitting idle and they say, no, I know only this much, they'll be out. See, one more example I'll tell you. When the COVID outbreak came, I heard that, including my brother who is a doctor, was telling, we never actually, learnt about COVID in their studies at all. And all of a sudden it was an opening. Now you see there a lot of COVID related research came all of a sudden and everybody is learning about it. And all the practicing doctors who will not be able to go to the college again to learn are learning. How? Again, the virtual mode. Most of them are virtual mode. And the Medical Council of India has created a big web portal for it. It uploaded a lot of YouTubes and interactions. And now you see the doctors have got their own WhatsApp group. And they try to actually exchange the ideas, etc., and so on. Of course, subjected to all the the regulations of not exchanging the privacy of the patient or something. So it goes across. So I am actually optimistic as a summary that everybody should be aware that new technology is coming. Just adopt it, and new technology will never snatch away the job opportunities, but it will open up new job opportunity. So instead of going in this path, there are 10 paths. Please find out where you can actually adapt yourself and then move around.
Can I, to be discussed about is that now we know that industry is also helping and coexisting with academia, but is there anything the government needs to do, especially with the new education policy or such? Is there anything that has to be implemented to actually bring down this particular gap?
See, actually at present, the national education policy is very, very progressive, and that has been already implemented through UGC in all higher education institutions. And this has really opened up a lot of things. Recently, I attended one of the international conference by QS ranking things, and most of the international speakers spoke good about our NEP, which actually says that there is a lot of flexibility and it gives you a lot of exchange happening, etc. One good thing actually what they made is they built something called ABC, that is Academic Bank of Credits. So suppose a student actually is studying first year, and after first year he wants to take a break either for his enterprise that he has to develop, or he has to develop his own industry, etc. He can take an off for about 1 year. Now these credits are actually deposited in the ABC. When he comes back, not only to the same institute, he can go to any other institute and then start take the same credits and then continue his studies. Suppose I say a student wants to switch over from mechanical to another one. These basic credits of the basic courses, for example, mathematics, physics, chemistry, etc., which are all basic, that he can carry further and take the credit in some other institution or in the same institution and then go ahead. Lot of freedom is given by NEP. NEP is just not actually, just a policy which has been made. And nearly about 90% of that actually comes from the funding which it has been allocated by Government of India. These funding are given to higher institutions through various means, including research, etc. Whoever has adopted NEP model, they can write projects and then they can get this easily. And third part which actually it has made is the boundaries between Indian institutes and international institutes have been removed. And because of that, now we have the competition from the international universities which can actually set up their campuses on the land of India, and they can give competition to us. But they don't do easily because they don't know what is happening here inside India. So usually they collaborate with an Indian university which is really doing well. This Indian university also would like to collaborate with international university for its own benefit and also to disseminate the total knowledge. So they go and make an MOU, they come back, there will be student exchange in the beginning, faculty exchange is happening, and after that they will have set up one institution here. Now what happens, the resource persons are the faculty and the researchers coming from international arena to India, and then they are teaching. Our teachers also will learn the new technology, etc. But just not that, these international people who have come here also will learn something from us. There is one thing in research actually, usually what happens, whenever a research paper is published, people look at what is your citation. That is how the international rankings are usually published. The citation means, suppose if I publish a paper, how many other researchers have cited my reference, my book or my publication in their research counts a lot. Now if I have a collaboration between international professor and an Indian professor, because I have my own arena here, he will have his own arena, and therefore these two arena will start referring our papers, and therefore the citations actually blow up. And once the citation blow up, even funding also is much easier to get through. So this NEP has really become a boon for especially education in India. It's not that it is without any deficiency or limitations, etc., which actually the scientists and also the educationists are finding, and every time some solutions are given. And if any new system comes, it is not expected that it should immediately be correct. Yeah, it's not so. There are many loopholes as such, which actually has to be plugged in and then overcome that, etc., and so on. But of course, I would finally say that NEP has opened up a lot of space, especially at the higher education. Regarding those international universities coming in, why actually Government of India encouraged international universities to enter into this? Earlier to this, nearly about 10 years back or so, even IITs were not allowed to open their centers abroad. The regulations were very stringent for their own reason. It was there for a long time for their own reason, but now they have given that access. See, basically, most of the students who go abroad are either from middle class or from higher class who can afford nearly about 25 to 30 lakh of rupees for higher studies. Usually they do the degree here, they go to the higher studies, or otherwise they go for the basic degree also, and then they try to come back sometime, may not be able to come back. So now Government of India identified, instead of having all these students getting into the international universities, why we should not upgrade our universities to that level. But initially what happens, most of the parents and students also will have some sort of flavor for the code. See, for example, I want to study in, let me say, Cambridge University. It's not so easy to get a seat in a Cambridge University. If a Cambridge University comes and provides a semester abroad program for our students, these students will be satisfied to go to the Cambridge University at least for one semester. Whatever the courses they do, that will be mapped to us. So they get the course certification from the Cambridge, and when they come back, they get the program certification, that is the BTech from us. Now there is also a dual degree which is allowed in NEP. What it says is, I can give the degree, along with that the foreign university can also give a degree provided they do or satisfy those credits of as their original thing. See, for example, there is a Cambridge University which is actually giving a degree. It says that the student should have passed this course, so many credits should be passed. Now I say that a few credits of them is equal to me. So what I do, I prepare the students with those credits and then I send them. So this will be identified by them. They will give the degree for them after the completion of 4 years or so. I get my degree, give my degree. So these two put together, it will go together. See, now the cost which I am trying to bring it down will be coming down to nearly 1/3 to even 1/5 of that. The reason is the living cost in abroad is very, very expensive. So that cost will come down automatically, number one. Number two, the tuition fee itself, if the student directly go to international university, will be very high. If they make an MOU with the universities here, that can be bargained, and also it can be brought down. It can be brought down to such a level it is affordable to the students. And what is the advantage for the universities? Universities actually will learn how the international universities are doing their research, how the teaching pedagogy is there, what new technology, how they are actually associated with industries. All this will be a lesson for Indian universities. And there is one more thing which we are all missing most of the time. There is something called cultural immersion for the students and faculty either way. The students who come to my university, it will be a shock in the beginning unless I give them a cultural immersion of Indian, especially Tamil if they are in the Tamil Nadu.
What to do and what not
to do. What to do and how the things are there. If you are moving around the streets, how you should behave, and what are the things which is not actually permitted, etc. And so many. It's just not that. Even the culture. Few of the students who come here try to learn something about Tamil here. They speak Tamil. Some of them will learn also the Tamil songs. They will actually sing a beautiful, nice songs on the stages. This is a cultural immersion, and this is really a deposit as a perception improvement in those this thing when they go back to their thing. Similarly, students who come from there, they come with a reality. They say, see, our nation is so good in so and so, so and so. There, this was actually a small, a sort of declined one. So I didn't like it. But a few things are good in it. So all of us will be understanding in a better way, and the perception also increases. But most of the challenges are coming from if we do not have a proper cultural immersion in the campuses. On campuses, we should have many such programs. And in fact, in my university, I'll be seeing very happy when these students who are coming from abroad, other universities of other nations, mingle up with Indian students and they move around freely. They are not actually clustered together with their own nation. They're having
openly speaking.
Yeah, openly speaking to everyone. Yeah, and one student of Nigeria is actually a close friend of an Indian, and so on. I just took one example. Many. Canada also, there are students actually who will be moving around with other students and they work. This is really a good one. This opening happened with NEPs, highly appreciable.
I was going to go there, but in an advanced level. I was going to ask you about space engineering and the requirement for space industry. So what is the requirement for that industry, and how is, considering ISRO's vast achievements and advanced technology which they have showed, Moon, Chandrayaan 3 and everything, what is the space industry in particular is looking for, and how are the students equipped for it?
Can I take?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Actually, our aeronautical engineering, I said that Hindustan actually is a leader in that particular one. We usually recently set up one particular sort of organization within us, and this is the Space Technology Cell. This actually works with ISRO, and we are developing with the students' effort and as well as the faculty effort one micro satellite, and this micro satellite will be launched as a part of 75 satellites which will be launched from India through ISRO on the mark of 75 years of independence. So in this actually advantage, I'll tell you, once we set up here, we have a big office. It's just not an office, it's a lab. This lab has got all the facilities which is interdisciplinary. See, for example, there are so many circuit boards. Actually, the students should know how to build these circuits to make a satellite, etc. And various boards are there. That is one part of it. How do we actually dump the programs into it? That means the computer science students should come in and then do that. How do we actually, produce electric current using your solar panel? Electrical students come into picture. How do you make a design of the structure? Mechanical engineering students do come. So it's a combination of so many of these students, and they will all put together in batches. Nearly about 80 students in our institution have been given different work. It's not just a mass work. Everybody will design something, they'll come discuss, and they'll also understand the other part of it. See, for example, one mechanical student comes and say, you have given me this is a space, etc. Within this space, it's impossible to give a strut which will take this much strength, etc. Now the electrical engineer will come, or the electronics engineer will come. Look, my the circuit board is this big. This should be housed into it. How do I house it? It's not possible. So you change your design. Now the conversation between these two students will ensure that they will come to a sort of give and take type. They'll change their designs exactly to that. Similarly, suppose I say this particular satellite, when it is launched, it should be in the space for such a time. The propulsion comes into picture. Of course, in our satellite, we have not included the propulsion there. It's not no propulsion, it's a lower level. But in the next level, we are going for it. So now comes actually what type of micro propulsion nozzle should be carried, how it should actually change its the attitudes and other things so that it will be always phased onto such, etc. It's a very big a science and technology put together. And we are so happy that Dr. Somnath, the chairman of ISRO, came to our institution, and he inaugurated this particular center, and he is trying to help us a lot on that. We are in continuous touch with it. But there is one more thing which happened, which I am very happy. ISRO actually conducts a sort of space awareness program for the school children. So in the last year, actually, the school children awareness program was actually taken by us, that Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science in Chennai, Padur, and we invited nearly about 5,000 children to our institution, and we set up the entire lab for them, and it was a big exhibition, etc. and so on. The footfall of 5,000 government school, the school children, out of that nearly about 60% of them are from the government schools, who usually do not get an exposure for this high-tech technology or something like that. We were really pleased to see that particular type of thing. And the other part of it is actually I could see my own students explaining these students who are visiting as if they are the professors of that particular subject. So much of knowledge transfer was happening, so much of confidence was there within them. So it was really a very big event. Now this is actually in the next level we are going through. Once this is probably it will be launched in the month of April or so from ISRO. Once it is done, we'll be going for second generation one. And this satellite is actually a good tribute to our founder, who started in 1966 the aircraft maintenance, and we call this as a KCG Varghese satellite. And once it comes, we feel that very much accomplished for the type of the vision he had. That could be a good tribute for us. It's really a great opportunity for us to go through that.
I know it's a multidisciplinary thing to bring in a satellite together, but how far is that the industry, especially like, why does it look like this particular building of a satellite, it itself might turn into an industry in the future? Will that happen, or is it going to expand in that particular this thing?
No, it should happen. I'll just recall, actually initially in 1970s and 80s and all, ISRO was working...
Engineers are involved in development construction.
Without engineer, a satellite can never fly.
So during that time, actually, ISRO was more of research center with whatever is required, minimum manufacturing capability, and that is why the pace was little low. When actually liberalization started way back, 1980s also there was a liberalization. they started thinking of why we should not give a small part of the work to the private industries. See, earlier there was actually a concern of privacy, security reasons, etc., and all that. But now, like in other universities and other international scenario, these are given as a small contract to everyone. Today, actually, the satellite which goes into the ISRO, nearly about 80% of the components come from the private companies around. I mean, within India, they are not taking it from outside, except it is very high tech, which is not available. Then only they import. Otherwise, everything comes from here. The advantage, I'll tell you. See, for example, we offer one more course called MTech in Defense Technology. So these students actually work nearly 1 year in such industries, where the components get into the defense or to the satellite or something like this. So they become a sort of input to such industries. Now the industries are going, because of that the employment is improving, and for ISRO the advantage is whatever the fund it comes, actually nearly 30% of the fund can be diverted to these people. They will actually come out very competitively at a lower price, both researched and as well as very well manufactured component that comes into it. And that is where actually you can also, has been improvised. Including that, actually, if you can look at the type of missiles which we have developed, like BrahMos. Today we are actually exporting BrahMos to other nations.
Countries.
It was possible because it is completely indigenously built. If government had not opened up such type of manufacturing in the private industries, it would have not happened. I'll bring one more part of a connection to the universities as such. What these industries did, they also had limited knowledge and skill in that particular area. They looked at the universities. So many universities tied up, and professors and students got the advantage of working with such big problem. And what theory I knew, I could actually contribute and convert it to practical. And it's a learn win-win situation for all three of them. So it is a fantastic situation today. Chandrayaan has happened, and because of these types of combinations are happening. Of course, all credit shall go to the ISRO scientists and also the management of ISRO, etc., engineers, and of course to the government of India for giving such freedom. ISRO has come out with many failures in the last decades or so, but the government actually stood behind them, continuously encouraged them, and today we are successful, and we are producing the space launch vehicles at a very, very low price, at a very competitive price for the whole world.
Much efficient as well.
Much efficient and more accurate. Nowadays the failures are not seen at all. Compared to the failures which other space organizations experienced internationally, we are actually nearly about 1/10 of that.
Exactly.
So that is what actually we should appreciate them. And lastly, one point I just wanted to mention, the brains do not usually always come only from very highly renowned institutions or so. The people who are working in ISRO, or most of them, are from local colleges, and they are actually working very well. And
brilliant
brains are there everywhere.
Doctor, thank you, Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Bharti, and Dr. Sridhara. It was an amazing discussion, and it was quite like a flow of knowledge that it would have definitely helped artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and satellite. I will never let out an engineer. I know engineers build the world. So thank you so much for watching.